Should I become a real estate agent in 2024? The truth is, that question is inherently flawed because when people ask themselves, should I become a real estate agent? Most of them think of it like, should I become a bartender or a veterinarian or a mechanic or a software engineer? They look at it like any other occupation. And the reality is, real estate agent is not a job. Real estate agent is starting your own small business. So if you really want to answer this question for yourself, you need to instead be asking, do I want to get into sales in 2024? And when I say sales, this would be the same thing that you would need to consider if you wanted to sell insurance, or if you wanted to sell cars, or if you wanted to sell software, okay? Sales, although it can look different in different industries, has some core truths to what it's like to be in sales and some core needs for what you need to have or acquire if you want to be successful in sales. So that's the first thing I need you to think about. The question is not, should I become a real estate agent? It's, should I get into sales in 2024? Now, I ruffle some feathers when I talk like this. I get a lot of pushback from viewers about, oh, you're just transactional, you're treating people like a dollar sign. I take great pride in being an agent and doing a good job for my clients. Listen, it goes without saying that you should do an outstanding job for your clients in any professional job that you have. That is a given. But the reality is, the truth is, if you want to know if you have a chance to succeed and you want to know what the real lifestyle of being a real estate agent is, you need to understand sales. Because no one drops work in your lap as a real estate agent, okay? In any other type of corporate job, you go in, you're given work, you complete the task. In real estate and in all other sales, you have two full-time jobs, and your job number one is to acquire the clients. If you don't acquire the clients, you'll have no one to serve at a high level. So again, it goes without saying, once you acquire clients, you can kick into being the best real estate agent that the world has ever seen. But if you just focus on that and ignore the first part, you are going to be a statistic. So let's talk about sales. What does it entail? There are 3 prerequisites for success in sales that I want you to consider deeply. Number 1 is that you will have to put yourself out there. I really need you to think about this. I really need you to think about your day-to-day life and if you're going to be able to consistently execute at putting yourself out there. What do I mean? I mean posting your face on social media, getting in front of a camera and recording videos or pictures and posting it consistently. I mean picking up your phone and calling people you know to have conversations that provide value. Eventually calling people you don't know to start a relationship and find ways to provide value until you earn their trust and their business. I mean hosting open houses every weekend so that you can meet people. I mean maybe door knocking. And that's another way for you to meet people and eventually get clients. So if you're an extreme introvert and all the things that I just mentioned sound like nails on a chalkboard, you should really reevaluate getting into sales or becoming a real estate agent. Now, one caveat, I am a huge introvert. So I made a whole video about this, but you can absolutely succeed as an introvert. And I think many introverts have tools that give them an advantage, but just because you're an introvert doesn't mean you can't put yourself out there. If you cannot put yourself out there, if you cannot pick up your phone, if you cannot host an open house, if you cannot make content, do not become an agent. Now, you might join a team and they'll give you leads, but you're essentially going to be an employee in that position. So you've got to put yourself out there if you're considering getting into this gig. Number 2, working without reward. Okay, you're not going to get a paycheck every 2 weeks anymore. You might not get a paycheck for a few months. And you've got to put in consistent work and have it compound before you start to see consistent results. So, can you do the things that I just mentioned? The phone calls, the social media, the door knocking, the open houses. By the way, I don't mean all of those simultaneously. I mean one or two of them at a high level consistently. Can you do those things consistently for 8 months before you expect to see a reward? If the answer is no, you should not get into this industry, okay? Because you don't see the direct correlation of your work to reward that you do in almost any other type of job. Now, you do create momentum and work compounds, and the results can be extraordinary, but it takes time, okay? So you need to put yourself out there, and you need to be able to work without a reward for a while. Finally, number 3, you need to be mentally tough. And I don't think this is talked enough about. I know it can sound ethereal or hard to quantify, but it is very real. So what do I mean when I say you need to be mentally tough? Well, there's a very low barrier to entry in this industry. There's a lot of competition, okay? And you're going to face a lot of disappointment, and it's going to be hard to get your first clients. You're going to ask yourself, did I make a mistake? Am I a failure? Does no one like me? Am I a loser? You've got to be able to push through this stuff. I cannot tell you how important it is to have a mentality that pulls you through the hard times. You've just got to basically have an ironclad mindset that you will succeed no matter what. This is something that Alex Hormozi touches on that I absolutely love, and it's a great framework for how to think about this. But on a long enough time scale, if I keep at it, it would be unreasonable for me not to have success, right? If you just don't give up and you keep legitimately working at something, you're going to have success. But can you do that? Can you work without seeing a reward? And can you be mentally tough? Listen, deals fall through all the time in real estate, right? So you could have done all that work to acquire a client, find him a home, get him under contract, and it still falls apart and you made nothing. You've got to be able to pull yourself up and keep going, okay? You can't get depressed and not do your lead generation for a week, right? There's a lot of changes potentially coming to the real estate industry and the way that commissions are paid out. This is causing a lot of anxiety for agents. You've got to have an ironclad mentality that no matter what, I provide value and a real service that people need, and I will find a way to continue to do that in better and better ways and monetize it in a fair way. So you have to have a really strong mindset. When I coach agents and I hear their struggles and I hear the things that they run up against, it's all legitimate stuff, but it's a lot of scarcity mindset. And in this industry, you need to have an abundance mindset, right? There is unlimited business. And there might be a million agents, but there is unlimited business for me. And that's the truth, okay? And if you keep at this long enough, consistently, there's no chance you'll fail, right? But you've got to believe that. You've got to really believe it. So 3 things you have to consider. Can you put yourself out there? Can you work without reward for a while? And can you be mentally tough? Can you not let anything perturb your determination that you will be successful? If you said no, respectfully, I think you should really reconsider getting into this industry. If you said yes and amen to all 3 of those things, that's a great sign. And I hope you can really follow through with that, because this is a career for self-starters. Now, that being said, if you answered affirmatively to those 3 questions and what I'm describing sounds like something that excites you and something that you can do, you want my real opinion? Real estate is the best career in the United States of America. Now, I know that sounds like hyperbole, but think about how low the barrier to entry is in relation for the potential income, right? You can get your real estate license in any given state, usually within 2 weeks. You can complete the course, and then whenever it's available to take the test, you can spend a few $100s and be a licensed agent within a few months, okay? And you can have the opportunity to help someone buy or sell a home. There's no limit to your income, right? You know, there are real estate agents with no college degrees who make more than doctors, right? Because they just sell a lot of homes. There are legitimately a lot of agents, and young agents in some cases, making multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the top agents, usually they run a team or they're an incredible solo agent. They're making over $1 million a year in commissions, right? It's not that crazy. In my market, you only have to sell 10 homes to earn about $100,000, right? So you have an incredibly low barrier to entry, incredibly high potential for income. You also get large commission checks, which might seem superfluous, but the reality is, if you're thinking about purchasing assets, if your goal is financial freedom, which is why I named this channel Freedom Agents, because that's what I'm interested in. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, you need to reduce expenses and you need to purchase assets. But if you work in a traditional 9 to 5, even if you make a really good salary, like let's say low $100,000 range, it can be hard to save large chunks of money even when you make it, because you get paid every week or every 2 weeks. And it's just more difficult, I can tell you from experience. The amazing thing about real estate is my average commission check's $10,000. I routinely get checks for over $20,000. Now, of course, you have to have discipline and plan your finances out for the year, but you can use that as a down payment on a rental property, or if you want to go buy a laundromat or self-storage. Like, it does make purchasing assets more attainable. There's something to be said for having a large chunk of cash to be able to do something with. That's not really the case. So we're going to talk about some pros and cons, but those are my honest thoughts, okay? If you have the mental fortitude and the disposition to be good at sales, to become a student of the game and excel at it, this is an amazing opportunity. If I could go back to when I was 18 and do it all over again, I would not go to college. I would become a real estate agent right away. All right, let's finish this off with some simple, straightforward pros and cons of becoming a real estate agent. And hopefully this really helps you make your decision and solidify what the best path forward for you will be. So let's just run through the cons and then I'll run through the pros to end on a positive note. So there's no basement to your income, okay? You could earn literally $0. So if you're not gonna do those actions as a salesperson that generate leads and then business, you're gonna have a zero income, right? So that's that reality. There's an incredibly high failure rate, okay? And the reason the failure rate is so high is because people don't know what they're getting into and they spend their time on the wrong activities, right? If everyone got into real estate and became a student of sales and executed on lead generation consistently, there would not be a high failure rate. So there is a high failure rate. It requires exposure, okay? I really hope you take that away from this video before you make any decisions, but I mean, I wouldn't call it a con, but, you know, for a lot of people, it is a con. But you can't hide in your room in this gig, okay? You really got to put yourself out there. So if that makes you uncomfortable, may not be the best career path for you. And finally, and the truth of it is that this is 2 full-time jobs, right? It is a full-time job to acquire clients, to get someone to raise their hand and say, I want to work with you and sign an agreement with you. Great. You completed job 1, and that is a real full-time job, and it includes all the things I already mentioned, from content creation to door knocking, all that stuff. And your reward is you've got another full-time job of servicing your client, helping them buy or sell a home. And there's a lot of work that goes into that, right? So we'll talk about how you have freedom of time and flexibility, but if you're successful, your reward for success in this industry is a lot of work, right? Now, it doesn't ever really feel like work to me personally, but those are some of the biggest cons that you should really make sure you're comfortable with before you move forward in this industry. All right, let's end on a positive note and talk about the pros, which honestly I touched on a lot already. Number 1, there's no limit to your income. That's very powerful. I would really take a second to think about that, right? And if it doesn't excite you, my guess would be that you have kind of a limited mindset at what's possible, okay? You could sell 20 homes in your first year. I mean, I know multiple agents who have sold 40 plus homes in their first year, right? Multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars in commission. Is that the norm? No, but the potential is there. The possibility is there. And isn't that all we're ever looking for in life? The opportunity. So you're not hunting for a 2% raise. You're not hunting for a 10% raise. You eat what you kill in this industry. You want to make more money? Go get another client and help them buy or sell a home. It's a pretty special thing. The second one is the big checks, which I already mentioned. But again, if your goal is financial freedom and you're looking to purchase assets, this is a pretty important factor. Bigger commission checks let you execute on assets quicker and easier. The third one is there's no boss. You can't get fired. I had constant anxiety when I was in a corporate job about getting fired, even though there wasn't any really reason. I did a great job and, you know, I never even came close to being fired, but that's a big source of anxiety for a lot of people. People look at corporate work and say there's job stability. I get it, but at the same time, you're at the whim of your superior or your corporation, right? To me, that's not as secure as everything depends on you and what you can control. Fourth would be, not only are you getting into this industry where you can make a lot of money and have a great business, the knowledge is invaluable in terms of, again, purchasing assets. If you're interested in having a rental portfolio or starting a flipping company or Airbnb, if you want to do anything involved with owning real estate, you're simultaneously, when you get into this industry, working at being better at sales, but you're learning real estate in a lot of very practical ways that can and will serve you if you look to purchase rental properties in the future. So I would definitely point out it's a double-edged sword in a good way. And the last one I have is your time is your own, right? And I think for an entrepreneur, someone who truly is an entrepreneur at heart, it's about no limits to what you can accomplish, no boss to tell you how to do it, and total freedom for your time, right? If I want to sleep until noon on any given day, I can, because there's no one waiting for me in the office. If I want to leave the country for a month, I can. Now, the practicality is, if I am doing what I need to do as a salesperson, that's going to be tough because there's going to be people that want to talk with me about buying or selling a home. But that's a good problem to have, right? And part of this process is developing leverage and finding ways to still take vacations and go out of town and be productive. But the reality remains, I really can't describe it, y'all. I mean, for so many years, I sat at a desk and stared at a clock and waited for it to become 5 so I could go home and start my life. And it's the most depressing thing, one of the most depressing things in life, I think, honestly. Now, please don't get me wrong. You might have a job that you love and you are not looking at the clock, but that was my scenario, and I do think it's a scenario for quite a few people. But when you're an entrepreneur and you get to the spot where you're making some money, it's like you don't work. Honestly, it is a lot of work, but it's just so different. It's a totally different paradigm, and I absolutely love it. So the huge benefit is just total ownership and freedom of your use of time. So there you have it. Should you become a real estate agent in 2024? Only if you know what you're getting into. Listen, at the end of the day, you can't fool yourself. This is a discussion between you and yourself. You need to just sit and think about the day to day. Can I wake up and pick up my phone and make some calls every day? Can I wake up and make some high quality content that provides consumers value every day? Can I wake up and plan my open houses for the weekend, or plan my door knocking, or plan my cold calls? If you can do that, I highly recommend you get into this industry. It can be very lucrative and life changing. If what I just mentioned sounds awful and sounds like, pulling your hair out, don't do it. Find something that you enjoy, right? This is not the only path to success and financial freedom, but you really got to be honest with yourself, because too many people become a real estate agent with high hopes and they just don't reckon with the reality of what it takes to be successful. So I really hope that helped you on your journey wherever you are. My goal is always to provide value. Again, if you want to talk about partnering with me at eXp Realty, just book a call with me. I love talking with you guys. So thank you so much for watching. And until my next video, I'll see you next time.